Okay, so let's talk about image ads and what really makes an image ad great. So, one of the best elements that can make an image ad stand out is something called the curiosity element. So, the curiosity element is something that's going to make your image stand out from every other image that a person sees. So, people see so many ads on a daily basis. What is going to make your ad stand out? So, generally, the weirder an image can get, the more that it's going to stand out in a news feed. So, here are just some examples of sort of weird looking images. Okay. The next element that can make an image stand out is something called the emotional element. So people are typically subconsciously influenced by the emotion of the people in the ad. So if a person's really happy or crying or laughing or surprised, this really influences the subconscious way that people interpret and really influence whether or not they take action on the ad. So here are some examples of like overly emotional images. So ads don't always have to be like happy to be emotional. Sometimes a negative emotion like somebody screaming or crying can stand out just as much as or more as if someone's really happy. So another element that makes images stand out is something called the amateur element. So people's minds are generally conditioned to be able to tell what's just a typical stock photo versus what's something that is a little bit more unique. And people's minds are almost conditioned to almost tune out traditional stock photos. So if you're using just regular stock images in your ads, I would highly suggest making the switch to using more amateur images. And I think you'll find some really good results. So amateur images, I mean, you could even take these yourself from an iPhone, but we already went over in the video where to find images. Okay, so here's some examples of just amateur images. All right, the next element that can make images stand out is sort of a shock element. So the example here is like a car on fire. I mean, this is a dramatic example, but something that is really going to make people stop and wonder what's going on with the images. And the more dramatic it is, the more people are going to be inclined to look more at the ad. So here's some examples. Now, I want to make a note that you need to be very, very careful with this element, especially on Facebook, because it's in Facebook's advertising terms of service that they don't like any quote unquote shocking content. Now, this is so broad, and you know, it could be interpreted so many different ways of what's shocking and what's not. But I found that just overly shocking images can get disapproved or even get ad accounts shut down. So something like this car on fire, it would be questionable. It would be borderline whether or not that would actually fly with Facebook. Maybe the picture on the left here is just what I'm trying to say is that you want to find a balance. So you want it to be shocking, but not overly shocking, like somebody with their head chopped off or something like that. Here are just some more examples. So here's just a checklist of what makes a great image ad. So weird images, emotional photos, amateur, and the OMG wow images. So here's a few tricks that you can do in Photoshop to make your images stand out a little bit more. The first trick is to point or circle something. So by doing this, you're really drawing the attention to whatever you're pointing or circling. So in the example on the left, it's pointing at something kind of far in the distance. So it makes, you can't see what that is in the image, but it makes the user kind of focus in and try to see what it is and subconsciously focus more on your ad. The image on the right is circling kind of this weird fake dummy and kind of circling and zooming in on its weird facial expression. So if a person was scrolling through the newsfeed, this is something that could really make them look twice. Okay, another trick that you can do is to blur or focus your image in Photoshop depending on what you want the user to focus on in the image. Okay, so I'm not a super technical person when it comes to images. If it comes to something beyond just adding a headline or resizing an image or adding a basic filter, that's something that I would typically outsource to Fiverr or Upwork. So I'm not going to be doing a Photoshop walkthrough because it's just not really my skill set. But these are all tricks that you can do in Photoshop. So another thing that you can do is you can add curves and vibrance to your photo to just change the look of it, add more oomph to the photo, and make it stand out a little bit more. All right, coming up next, we're going to be talking about video ads. So far, we've only been talking about image ads. Video ads are also a very important type of ad that we use regularly in our marketing. So we're going to be talking about finding footage and how to create good video ads. So to summarize what we talked about here today, just a general overview, you want to find creatives that are interesting, different, maybe even a little bit shocking to the viewer, but you don't want to go too overboard or else Facebook might disapprove your ad or ban your account. So I hope these were some good tips, and this is something that you should pay attention to now whenever you're looking for your creatives. Anyways, see you in the next video.